What is an LTL shipment? What is a partial shipment? And what is the difference between the two, and how can you leverage each of them to get more business? We'll cover this and more in this week's video. I'm Benjamin Kowalski with Freight 360, where we provide the latest transportation sales tips and training videos to help you reach your goals faster. Let's start by outlining what an LTL shipment is. A less than truckload shipment, often referred to as LTL, is handled much differently than a full truckload. In LTL, the cargo typically a few pallets or less, but definitely less than a full truckload, will move in a network of trucks and warehouses. For instance, a pallet would be picked up by maybe a local box truck with a lift gate maybe. That pallet will then be taken to a regional warehouse. These are usually owned and operated by the LTL providers. It will then sit there until there's enough cargo to fill a truckload. Approximately 28 pallets worth of cargo. From there, a full-size van will take all of those pallets and packages to another regional warehouse, closer to the final destination. Once it arrives at the next regional warehouse, it will then wait for another local box truck to be available to deliver it to its final receiver. The major benefits of LTL are cost and flexibility. There are plenty of LTL providers with different pricing based on different levels of service and on-time percentages. The drawback is loss of control and often visibility or tracking. With an LTL shipment, you don't always know when it will arrive because of the nature of the network. Now, what is a partial shipment? A partial shipment is anything that is technically less than a full truckload, but still gets booked directly on a single truck. For instance, a truck scheduled to pick up, we'll say, a 20,000 pound load of widgets from Baltimore to Los Angeles. The driver will often look for additional smaller loads along his route to LA to make additional money and fill up his truck. Sometimes it may be a few pallets, sometimes it can be upwards of half of a truck. And this happens on both open deck, like flatbeds and step decks, as well as vans. You'll often see partial loads posted on DAT, and you can spot them by their much smaller weights and dimensions. Now, how can you leverage each of these to get more freight from your customer or shipper? It starts just like any other prospecting call. Ask a lot of questions. If the shipper has been expressing concern that their current LTL provider is causing issues with late deliveries, or maybe their customers want a more accurate time frame when their cargo is going to deliver, you can ask if they've considered moving it as a partial load. It will give them better visibility and a little more control than the LTL network offers. And it's still going to be cheaper than a dedicated 53-footer or a 48-foot van. Now, let's say the cargo is higher value or needs to be there by a specific date. You may be able to educate your shipper on a few other ways to achieve those objectives as well. You can book an entire van and know exactly where that load is and track it all the way to its destination. That's usually the route you'll take for smaller shipments, even a few pallets, when the values are starting to approach larger numbers, like $100,000. Another option is to provide that same service by booking a sprinter van or maybe even a box truck. Depending on the size of your shipper's cargo, you'll be able to offer a lot more options without having to do a lot more work. As freight brokers, we're licensed to access the entire market of assets available. While many brokers tend to focus only on full truckload because it has the highest opportunity for margins, well, they're not only leaving a lot of opportunities on the table with their shipper, they're also shortchanging their customers out of some cost savings and more effective shipping options. The more flexibility you can offer to a specific situation, the more valuable you are as a broker, and the more likely you are to differentiate yourself from the other brokers in the market. For more tips and training, be sure to watch our weekly podcast on our channel and check out the description box for links on group and private coaching. Because remember, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.